Sort of.
Welcome to that Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
And we're bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Woo, sir. How we doing? It's another extra special transfer Muppetry pod. Things are heating up. Here we go. It's left, right, and center, sir. United's got one transfer in, officially dusted, backup left back. And your boy, Christian Eriksen, is joining on a free transfer. We've also got some outgoings. We got Ronaldo news. How we feeling? How we doing? Summer doldrums. They over yet, or are we getting ready for preseason?
Hey, it was a big happy 4th of July to all America Devils out there. Lots of bombshells being dropped on the 4th, actually. Tyrell Malacia is the first signing. Book it. It's done. The backup left back or the backup left back, depending if we can move, tell us this summer. Still a great young prospect coming out of the Dutch league. And then the big one for me, Christian Eriksen. Here we go from Fabrizio Romano himself, pending the medical. Obviously, the heart problem he suffered with Denmark, so the medical is a big one for him to pass there. Did play really well for Brentford. I think he is an excellent midfielder. Will give us some depth at the number 10 role. He can also play in the 8 on the left-hand side. So I'm absolutely pumped about Eriksen. And obviously the Ronaldo saga, the De Jong saga, the drama of the transfer window. There's plenty to get through here, but some positive movement from United. Also sold Pereira to Fulham. Not a bad fee. I think £10 million plus $3 million in add-ons. Look, not a bad week for Manchester United. Not a bad start to July for Manchester United. The key is, can we finish strong? Will Ronaldo show up to preseason? Can we get De Jong in the building? Exciting times to be a United fan. Also, the Erik ten Hag training videos you love to see. So, some good news.
That's been the best part of my summer, is just seeing bald Erik ten Hag just saying he wants more precision, more concentration, more perfection in his training regime. So like you said, positive. The United front office started the summer slow, but things are certainly starting to pick up. Very excited by the Christian Eriksen news. A, it's a free transfer. B, he offers a lot of kind of additional redundancy around another attacking option, good midfielder. And I'll tell you what, any endorsement you need for Christian Eriksen, just watch his highlights against this lowly Manchester United side last season. It was a masterclass of just passing, ball distribution, and then to boot, you're going to have some leadership, right? I think we have a leadership vacuum based on losing a lot of senior players, not even including Ronaldo, with just the free transfers and like the Matas, Cavani's of the world. He would go a long way in this young dressing room to kind of add a little additional experience. I think a lot of the players will look up to him. And also speaks, hey, sir, we could compete against a Brentford. We could attract someone to come to Manchester United instead of Brentford. So excited by that. And it wouldn't be Manchester United if we weren't embroiled in the, not only the biggest kind of transfer summer of the story. It seems like we're the two biggest stories between De Jong and, of course, Ronaldo's going to take up all the news, sir. It's been breaking thick and fast. How are we feeling about that?
I mean, playing a lot of reading the tea leaves, 3D chess, Mendes. Look, I think it's a desperation move. I think it's a Hail Mary. They got no option. We said it at the end of last season. Ronaldo's ruthless. He's a winner. That's what he wants. He's late in his career. He wants to win things. Came back last summer, signed the 2-year deal. And at the end of the season, we said, we're not in Champions League, so he's going to try to leave. But at the end of the day, I just don't think anyone wants to pay him that money. No one's going to pay us an upfront fee and then take on like $500,000 a week wages. Ronaldo, it's crazy to say it, but nobody wants the guy. The only club is Chelsea, and obviously United would be crazy to sell him to Chelsea on the cheap. So it's going to have to cost Chelsea an arm and a leg, and Tuchel probably doesn't even want him. So we'll get into the update from Fabrizio Romano, but it really sounds like nobody wants Cristiano Ronaldo. And oh, by the way, I watched all the goals he scored for United last year. I was just doing a sanity check, like, hey, is Ronaldo just that great, or could we just put Rashford or insert attacker here to score these goals? And absolutely, like 75% of them were like worldies. The headers, the free kicks, the curlers. I mean, unbelievable finishing from Ronaldo. Like, we need him on Manchester United. And look, if he doesn't move and can't move, I think that's a huge win for us.
It is a huge. I would totally agree, 100%. Not only because you have to replace him, but you're replacing the irreplaceable. World class player, one of the greatest of all time, and he added so much last season. And even though we have a new manager and a whole new regime and a style of play, he's going to fit in. He offers a lot, obviously, just on the pitch, off the pitch, his training regime, his discipline, a lot to kind of teach some of those younger players that are early in their career or need to be kind of reminded of what it looks like, what it takes to become a top athlete. I'm hopeful that no one else, is willing to kind of pay those two things you talked about. We would justify an upfront fee, right? Because he has a year left on his contract. I can't imagine he's willing to take a pay cut. He might be willing to take a pay cut if a team was in the Champions League and as an ambitious club, but you're going to need a lot of stars to align, and I'm hopeful that they don't. I want to focus on bringing some good ins. I feel like the outs that we've done on the outs that happened on their own with kind of the end of their contracts and losing a lot of players, which is a positive. We have some dead wood to ship. Pereira was the start of that. That was good business, like you said, a 10 to 13 million pound fee. Also, just get him off the wage books and finally move on a player. If we can do more of that, that gives me a lot of hope that maybe we can kind of cobble together a pretty strong transfer window, even with a limited budget.
Absolutely, and we always say it's about hitting singles. Like a great young prospect at left back for 13 million, that's awesome. Sell Pereira for 10, another great move. Get Christian Eriksen on a free. That's a double, in my opinion. Like that's a huge deal. Like no upfront fee. He's absolutely EPL proven. Obviously, he has the health issues, but he killed it for Brentford. His stats are unbelievable for midfielders over the last year. So an amazing signing for United, finally going in the right direction. I can't believe I'm saying it. Quick PSA for the podcast. If you haven't yet, please fill out our end of the season survey. We have the link to the survey on our Twitter page. It is pinned. We love to get the feedback at the end of last season, from the end of last season, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between about this podcast that we love. It is for fans by fans, and we try to get better every single season. There's some gems already. We've gone through the existing feedback. If you fill it out, you get automatically entered into winning $100 in American Red Devil swag. It's an awesome swag bag, blankets, hoodies, shirts, stickers, everything. Please fill it out. It goes a long way helping the podcast. Also, join our Discord channel. There's a ton of in the know transfer news on there. Lots of transfer Muppetry being discussed every day. There's an invite on our website. You can visit www.americareddevils.com. You click on the Discord invite. You're placed into the chat with other Muppets who are hanging out on the couch, giving their salty takes on Manchester United. There's no sponsors on this podcast. The best way to support us is Patreon. Check out our Patreon page, www.patreon.com/AmericaRedDevils. And like I mentioned before, we have a great website with fan blog content and a store. Check it out, www.americareddevils.com. Sir, tell them about iTunes reviews.
iTunes reviews or a 5-star review of the American Red Devils podcast wherever you listen is a great way to support the pod. Helps us get found organically like other Muppets like yourself, ourselves included, and doesn't cost any money at all. Here's a great way to do it. Write that 5-star review, whether it be on iTunes or Spotify, and send a screenshot to AmericanRedDevils@gmail.com with your mailing address, and I will personally pick, pack, and ship some free ARD gear to your door. Write a review, write a second review. No one's watching. Goes a long way to help supporting this small-time operation. Sir, it's a transfer window, baby. Like you said, the Discord is hopping. That is like, it's never been in finer form than it is in the summer months, especially this summer. I'm really enjoying it. Check it out if you haven't already. There's a lot to talk about. Busy summer, sir. We are busy bees. This transfer window, a lot to do, a lot left to do. But progress is finally seeming like it's being made.
All right, let's get into it. The full transfer Muppetry update from American Red Devils. Sir, do you have the Malacia interview by chance?
Give me a second. Let's see.
I will. I'll give you a second. So obviously the first signing we're going to get into here is Tyrell Malacia. Comes from Feyenoord. He's a youngster, plays for the Dutch national team, left back. I think the rumor is Ten Hag wants to move on Telles, so we'll be behind Luke Shaw. He's quick, he's athletic, he's young, he's hungry, checks all the boxes, good and cheap for Manchester United. We got the interview here queued for it, sir. Do you want to give me just you can just play however much you want to hear from him.
Let's hear
But
from,
it's a 10-minute interview, but I just play a little snippet.
little taste. Here's first words from Tyrell, the new Red.
Welcome to Manchester United. How does it feel to be able to call yourself a Manchester United player?
I think I can describe that feeling. So much things happened the last few weeks, and I'm happy to be here.
What do you think is right for you about this move at this time in your life and this time of your career? What's right about coming to Manchester United?
I think everything. The way I spoke with the coach, and I always dreamed about playing in the Premier League. So yeah, it's all good.
There's lots of links with Feyenoord, with Manchester United. For instance, Robin van Persie, of course, Tahith Jong, who's here. Did you speak to any of those guys before making the decision to come to Manchester United?
No, I didn't spoke about this decision, but I spoke in the past with Robin always, and I play with him, and I spoke with him about his experience in Manchester, and I always had contact with Tahith the day he moved to England. So yeah, it was always good feeling. Yeah.
Did Robin have good things to say about?
Yeah. Everything was good. He says the biggest club, and the feeling was good, and he loved it here.
Obviously,
Sir, good to hear some first words from new lad Tyrell Malacia. Seems like a well-spoken, nice kid, hungry, ready to go. From what we hear about him in the broader market is that it's someone that Erik ten Hag has been keeping an eye on for a long time, especially during his time at Ajax. A lot of upside in this signing. Not someone who's going to contribute to the starting 11 right away. But that being said, people have question marks about Telles for a long time. And you know what? I'm not sure Luke Shaw is kind of everybody's confirmed starting left back to take us to a new promised land. So excited about the signing. Seems like a really good lad. Looking forward to more signings from the squad, but also I want to see what Tyrell's got to offer in preseason. Hopefully we get a chance to see him play some minutes, and more importantly, it got in before they leave for the for Southeast Asia. So that's a big deal. That's important because you got to get those players in. You got to get them integrated with the rest of the squad, and that's a big win for me.
No, absolutely. I don't know if he's going to go on the preseason tour. It's up in the air right now. I imagine he's got to figure out how to live in Manchester. But I know he'll be in Australia, I think. But we'll keep you posted on if he's traveling. The scouting report, this is from scoutedfootball.com. I thought this was really good. I didn't know much about Malacia. Obviously, he's very athletic. He can run the channels on the left wing, so he has the athleticism and the engine to get up and down. You want to be thinking someone like sort of a Robertson in that regard, someone who can run all 90 minutes. That's what Ten Hag is looking for. You know, Luke Shaw, if he skipped a few meat pies, he could probably do it, but he struggled with fitness up and down. We've seen glimpses, or maybe I'm going to say season sprints or sections of seasons from Luke Shaw where he looked really fit and up for it, but the consistency for him isn't there. So I hope Malacia has that hunger and can sort of be that player. As far as he has great recovery pace, he's a strong one-on-one defender. He's proactive with engaging wingers in wide areas and very difficult to beat. He was only dribbled past 0.7 times per 90 minutes in the Dutch league, which is actually a great statistic. As far as his defensive positioning, he's sort of a mixed bag. He anticipates danger very well, but he does often cheat in central spaces in front of center backs to prevent opposition forwards from receiving the ball in the half turn. The problem with him is he's often out of position in transition, but he's an elite athlete, so he has good recovery pace and he's able to put in a challenge. I think this is where he's going to have to work on it. You come to the Premier League, in a stronger league, there's going to be a greater demand of physicality. There's going to be faster players. And in terms of weakness, he'll get punished if he's out of position. So I think he relies on his athleticism to be able to do that and kind of recover. But in the EPL, it's going to be a whole different ball game. So look out for his discipline and positioning. But I have a feeling Ten Hag will do a great job of fixing any issue he has there. His strength going forward, he has the potential to excel at almost every facet of the attack. He's a great progressive passer. He plays combinations down the line very well, and he has a expected goals contribution per 90 minutes of 0.18, which is second in the Dutch league. So, I mean, going forward, he's got the full ticket, and then it's only sort of on the defensive positioning. He might take too much risk, but that's what a youngster would have anyway coming into the league. So he's got all the tools. The question is, does he have that desire mentality? You look at the left back position, Luke Shaw, we can question the mentality, right? He's part of that English clique, if you will, likes a few meat pies. Telles came in behind him. That didn't get the best out of Shaw. Telles had a lot of reps, didn't get the best out of him either. Is Malacia hungry? Is he going to have the mentality to try to earn the position? I think this position is up for grabs for him if he has it. It's not going to happen overnight. Could happen in a season. But you saw Telles, he didn't earn it last season. And Luke Shaw, we've seen him over the long term. So I am excited about the youngster. But at the end of the day, it's almost the intangibles that aren't in the scouting report that can determine if he can make it at Manchester United over the long term.
100%. And like you said, all the things that he needs to work on as a player. One thing is just acclimating to the league. It's a different animal, Premier League versus the Dutch league. But they're coachable areas, right? His positioning, that will get better as he learns how Eric wants to play with this Manchester United side in the Premier League. And to boot, he's not going to be expected to start day one, which is good because it'll give him time to get used to England, to get used to the style of play, get caught up in the physicality, a player that can kind of grow into the position, challenge Luke for that starting spot, and likely will only get better. And in areas that we need to see from a fullback in this league, you need to be able to be an offensive player as well as you are a defensive player. That's why a lot of limitations on Aaron Wan-Bissaka as he offers very little going forward. Hopefully, he is one of the new breed, kind of best of both worlds, great at defense, but also can go do a lot going forward. And at the same time, he should fit that profile. We didn't hear from Eric, but we heard from Ralph, and I do think there is some connective tissue around who they try to sign. And that's like, it's not his third or fourth contract. It's second big contract. So good time for him to move. Young player, a lot of upside, one for the future. I'm excited about this one, and a good price to boot. And we gazumped Leon. Can't lose.
I don't know. Gazumping Leon, I'd rather be gazumping Bayern, Barca, Real,
I'll take it.
Chelsea,
I'll take it.
City.
They're hungry.
Liverpool.
Hungry for transfers.
Olympic Leon, I don't know. I have to put that comment in there. Next one, Christian Eriksen. This comes from Romano. He will sign a 3-year deal with Manchester United this week. Medical is scheduled. Eriksen has already directly talked with Erik ten Hag, which is a key factor. Manchester United are working on announcing Eriksen as soon as this week, so we could see the announcement this week. Apparently, I did not know this, but Eriksen trained with Ajax after the recovery from his heart incident, the cardiac arrest in Denmark. So he actually met Erik ten Hag when he was recovering. He was not with the club or anything. He went to Ajax, trained with them. That's how he got to know Ten Hag. I think that's ultimately why Eriksen is coming to United. So credit Ten Hag for this deal. Obviously, his family's in London. He's making the move to Manchester. 3-year deal. He's only 30 years old. He's in his prime, assuming everything clears the medical and his heart condition. So, look, I watched his Brentford highlights. He's great. His statistics are pretty stupid for midfielders. 99th percentile in assists, 97th percentile in shots, 85th percentile in XG, non-penalty XG, and 99th percentile in non-penalty XG and X assists, and 99th percentile in shot-creating actions. His progressive passes, 93rd percentile. Attempted passes, he's all over the board. He can play 10, so hey, if Bruno gets injured, he can play that role. Or if you need to switch and rest him, he could play with Bruno as an 8. There's a ton of options. I think you start adding players of this caliber to our midfield. You're already seeing it. If we could add a Neves, if we could add a De Jong, someone else, I really think finally we're going to see a proper midfield at Manchester United. So this is one critical component, De Jong and or Neves being that second critical component. Someone who can take the ball out of the back from the numpty center back so we ain't soft. That's pretty much where it is. But
they ain't moving anytime soon. But it's definitely a player to get excited about. 30 years old, like you said, he seems like he has the kind of the body type where he's going to have plenty of years left in him, knock on wood, just because a little bit smaller and hopefully the wear and tear on his body isn't quite as much. He's like a like for like, not temperament, but we lost Paul Pogba. We got Christian Eriksen, cheaper money, probably less, higher durability, maybe less of the off-field drama with, the Pogba show. I'm very excited about this player. What he offers both with Bruno, without Bruno, in his replacement, his ability to move the ball from either side of the pitch, his ability to rip open a defense. 30 years old. I think this is a huge, huge transfer. Speaks to the Erik ten Hag pull factor, without a doubt. Like, I didn't even know about that little Ajax tidbit that he had trained with him during his recovery. But players like De Jong, players like Eriksen, that probably wouldn't even give a sniff to where United is at the moment, coming off of such a tough season, not being in the top four. I know he's deciding between us and Brentford, but leaving his family in London, coming to big Manchester, I'm excited about this move. It's a good addition. We need to see more of that, especially with a limited transfer kitty. That, like, I'm all about these free transfers, sir. All about it. Give me more.
No, absolutely. And if you think about what Eriksen can do for our midfield, like, where do we struggle? Where have we always struggled? Breaking down, the low block. Right, so say we start Bruno, Fred, De Jong in the midfield, and we're struggling and we can't break a team down, bringing Eriksen off the bench in the 60th minute, and you basically let, hey, you and Bruno go for it. That's the type of situation where you already see, like, wow, that's going to make a huge impact, putting Eriksen and Bruno on the ball in those key positions, be able to pull the strings, get us that goal that we need against those teams that are going to play that low block. That's what we've always struggled with. Mata, we tried to do it with Mata. We tried to do it with Lingard. It didn't always work. I don't think those guys are near the level that Eriksen is right now. And that type of player can make a huge difference at Manchester United. Now, who's going to be at the end of the cross? Who's going to score that goal? I hope it's Cristiano Ronaldo, but, we are going to see. But I'm very excited for this signing. We just need that CDM to back it up. Whether it's De Jong, or whether it's Neves, whoever, we need that signing this summer. And when we get it, I will sleep much better at night, knowing our midfield is sorted at Manchester United. That's what we need right now.
And it's a good point. I was thinking about it. I was watching all those passes from the highlight video of him playing against big old Manchester United when he was at Brentford this season, and we got outplayed. Who's going to be heading that ball in? Because you should imagine there'd be a lot of service. We're going to be more organized. I think there's going to be a more attractive and effective style of play that we're going to see from this Erik ten Hag side. But the big question is, if Ronaldo's there, you went through the highlights, or you watched every goal he scored most recently, he's going to finish. So it actually has been about service this last season. Now it's going to be about who's going to be at the end of all these great crosses that we're going to be seeing from this much improved Manchester United side.
Please, seriously.
Martial. I heard he's pretty good in the air. Pretty good.
Next transfer, we're going to get into it. I talked about this part of the midfield. Frankie De Jong, news just dropped in the Telegraph per Dunker. Essentially, the deal is being held up because Barcelona owe Frankie wages. A lot of players actually deferred their wages at Barcelona during the pandemic. I believe Piqué did it as well, where they said, hey, I'm going to take a reduced payment, but you're just going to owe me this, because obviously the club is screwed from a debt perspective. Apparently, he's owed around £17 million by Barcelona, and I think Barcelona is trying to be cheeky and put these deferred wages onto Manchester United. This deal is just Barcelona. Anytime you deal with the Spanish clubs in transfer negotiations, they're just absolutely like shithousery FC. You see how Atletico's diving around the pitch, moaning and whinging at the referee. That's exactly how they behave in the transfer market. So the minute you get dragged into dealing with them, it is a nightmare. You remember them dealing with like De Gea and like yelling at us because of the fax machine, the Ronaldo saga back in the day, 07, 08. They wouldn't leave us alone about Ronaldo. They play dirty, and they're tough to negotiate with. So we're pulled in. The president of Barcelona, Laporte, is basically saying he's not for sale, he's not for sale, he's not for sale. And then we're hearing these updates on the other side of the deal. So basically, he is for sale. They're just trying to put us over the barrel, right? Apparently, if they don't sell De Jong, they can't register all these other players. They're selling their percentages of their TV rights over like I think 10 or 15 years to just get money up front. The club's in real trouble. They gotta sell. I don't know why they're dragging this out, but that's what they're doing.
Now, my hope, like you said, a lot of news about Frankie's actual wage, salary, this deferral. I mean, the amount, he basically got his salary cut in half, and then, like you said, it'd all be backloaded. So they owe him a ton of money, like 16 million pounds a season, something of that order of magnitude. And my hope is that we're at the stage where this feels Barca, like you said. They're throwing mud, they're diving, and they're basically throwing Frankie like, well, we want to keep him, but unless he takes a pay cut after he already took a pay cut, we can't do anything about it. So my hope is that this is like last minute posturing, like you always like to see. You do not always like to see, but you always do see, especially with the Spanish clubs, is that they're trying to save face with their fans and be like, well, we tried to keep him, but Frankie just, he wouldn't take another salary cut after his first and second salary cut. Hopefully the deal's at the 11th hour, almost there, 5-yard line, whatever analogy you want to use, because Erik ten Hag, I'm all in at Erik ten Hag. I really believe in what he's building at United, and Frankie was the top of the list, his number one target. So I want him to get his number one target, and I would love to see what kind of player he could be in the Premier League with the rest of the players that we already have in-house around him, and some of the more additions coming in. So, like you said, with him, Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes, and then you have, you'd love to have Ronaldo up front just banging in headers. But hopefully this goes a little way to keep him around. Show our, you would like to see these transfers early in the market, early in the window. This one makes sense at a drag because they're trying to use the timing against Barcelona, which might work out for us in the long run. But we got to show that ambition to Ronaldo. You got to show that ambition to Manchester United fans because we all feel the same way. This club needs to show it in the transfer window.
Yeah, but I feel like when you're going to get into a mud fight with these Spanish clubs in the transfer window, you have to be willing to throw some yourself. I mean, I'd like to see some stronger statements from Murtaugh. I'd like to see him come out and be like, Ronaldo is not being sold. Hey, John Murtaugh, we're not selling Ronaldo. No ifs, ands, or buts. We're not selling him. And what does that do? That makes someone have to pay for him. Right, I like United always just leak it through these
they
journals.
Did it through the press. Yeah, they did it all through the press.
And I like the Laporte being slapping us around, being like, we're not going to sell him. And be like, okay, hey, we heard it from him. He's not for sale. We're not going to buy him anymore. We're going to look at other options. Even if you're not doing it, I think United need to play that game a little bit because if we said that out in the press, Barcelona probably would scramble. They need to dish Frankie de Jong. We're the only one who's be paying anything like this. And by the way, Wolves are saying Neves is 75. I mean, could you get him for 50? Could you get him, you know what I'm saying? Could you get him for 45 plus 20 in add-ons? Why not? I think that at this point, we can't put all of our eggs in one basket, is what I'm trying to say. I want us to be a little more nimble where if Frankie doesn't play out and we can't let Neves go to Arsenal and then be stuck with our pants down because this position is so critical. I'd like to almost see us maybe signing a youngster for cover just in case this doesn't go through, or maybe flirting with someone else. Negotiation starts with no. And so I don't think we've told Barcelona no yet. I think they are going to sell. I think this will get done. But at the end of the day, I just wish United could play a little more of this posturing game because I think Barcelona, they're bluffing. And we should be calling them on their bluff a little bit. Maybe we are behind the scenes. I just know that they're hurting, and then Laporte saying everything's fine. Ironically, Bayern Munich came out and said Lewandowski wants to go to Barca. Barca wants to pay Bayern Munich in installments, and Bayern said we will not take installments because we don't think you'll be around in 2 years.
There you go.
Right. So you have Bayern slapping them around, and then you have them posturing like they don't need to sell De Jong when they have to sell De Jong because they're going to go to, the club's in shambles. So I think we should basically say that and, try to put some pressure on them.
John, I'm in 100% agreement with you, especially, if you get involved in a mud fight, sometimes you got to throw mud back. And I think this speaks to how Manchester United has kind of done front office, at least communicado, under the Glazer era. It's if you had a really strong director of football like they have at Bayern or even Barca or Real Madrid, they'd be talking to the pressers and being really active to kind of push their weight around, which I think especially now, given how much emphasis has been back on the player camp. You know, it would be good for someone in Manchester United to become like calling their bluff publicly beyond just kind of feeding stuff to the Telegraph and to Simon Stone, because it speaks some strength to be like, hey, you know, we are not going to move on our fee, and we know his worth, and we know what you're willing to kind of settle for. So calling their bluff, I think is the right move, given, you know, the only thing we're wasting is time and someone else to hop in, but I think that's less likely.
What do you think? Frankie de Jong plays for United by the end of the year?
I do. I think it's gone as far as it has. There's still a lot of smoke around it. Fabrizio's talking about being very close. Matter of add-ons. Apparently 10 million secured versus on the hook. And I think there's just been too much smoke to not kind of bring it all the way. And this always feels like the 11th hour posturing from their side. Well, you know, we don't want to lose him, but he needs to do something for the club first before himself and take another hit, which just does feel like last acts of a desperate man, if you will.
No, absolutely. You know, I think this gets done. I think this is a huge deal for United. I hope Frankie still has the fire. And he can bring the mentality. You know, I just hope it isn't all about the Benjamins for Frankie de Jong, because we've seen that before at Manchester United. It does not turn out well when you sign these big names that just want to play for the money. How many times have we seen that movie before? Next one here, Lisandro Martinez. Apparently, we put in a £35 million bid. That's been knocked back. We're fighting with Arsenal. He's valued around £45 million. Apparently, there's a lot of smoke here, so people are expecting him to sign for Manchester United. I'm excited by this one. Again, we've been needing a center back for a while now. You know, we did get Varane, hoping he would be the chosen one, but unfortunately, his injury record has continued to be poor, and that's why we need another center back. So you buy, and we're paying him a lot of money, unfortunately. Also, Anthony, apparently we put in a £51 million bid. Ajax holding out for $70 million. So you can't buy the entire Ajax team. I've watched the Anthony. I know. I've watched the Anthony highlights.
Verdict's out.
Nowhere near. Nowhere. I'll tell you what. That guy makes Memphis Depay look good. I'll tell you. When you watch Memphis Depay's
who's
highlights
available?
Coming out,
Who's available? We could get Memphis back if he wants to go all Dutch.
No, I know, but it's like, and that's where the attitude comes in. Memphis Depay rap videos, like, you know, he thought he had made it before he even stepped on the pitch at Manchester United. And look, if Anthony has the right work ethic, and obviously Ten Hag, if he rates him, that could be the X factor. But £70 million, like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, like, Sterling's going to go to Chelsea for less than $50 million. You know, I don't rate Sterling at all, Scout's bastard, but you know, that's a better deal. Like, that's a way better deal than a guy who hasn't proved it in the league and is. I just have a feeling like we're buying too many Ajax players, and that's too rich for my blood for an unproven attacker. $70 million, no way.
I'm with you. He's too young, and he hasn't proven in the top league. Lisandro Martinez, I'm actually very excited about that one. I think it just shows that Eric is very cognizant about where the squad is at today, and he knows, like, hell, he knows we need a number 9, sir, but we also need a center back, and defense wins titles, and that was probably the biggest aspect of United that we failed on last year, was just how poor our defense was. So Lisandro Martinez, you went through his stats last time. We talked about it, but he's a great passer of the ball and a great tackler, which will come in handy when we're playing that high line. A lot of games, and like you said, the only person that was really kind of set in starter of that back four, I would say. They're all up for grabs except for Varane when he's fit. And that's such a question mark that, hell, you need reinforcements. So Lisandro Martinez, that would be a gazump that you could get excited about because it's about the Gunners. I know I wouldn't be disappointed about Arteta losing out on his man.
Yeah, and it just goes to that whole, you know, we're talking at the left back position where nobody has that cutthroat attitude to make that position theirs. It's like Harry Maguire doesn't play good and he just starts. Then you got Lindelof next to him, like, has a good game every once in a while. Nobody's got that, like, cutthroat mentality. No one's battling behind. Nobody's trying to make that position theirs. And Lisandro Martinez, I bet you the Ten Hag guys, they got that attitude. So that's what we need. We need guys trying to break into the team and, like, put the stamp on their role, because that's the way Manchester United used to be. Kill or be killed to get on the pitch. And we needed more of that mentality. And something tells me Ten Hag and his boys, they got that.
He is dialed in, focused, and I just like the uptick in tempo that we were even just seeing from the training pitch. That is the one thing that would make me kind of like more optimistic. If he was Dutch, another Dutch guy, he is Brazilian. Lisandro Martinez, right? He's an Argentine. That gives me some hope. But like you said, 70 million is way too much. That's how much we paid for friggin' Sancho. 50, that's a reasonable fee in today's market. But like you said, you got like Sterling and Richarlison going for 45, 50 million pounds. You can't be paying no 70 million pounds for a 20-year-old that plays in the Dutch league. But 50, and he knows what Erik ten Hag expects. Obviously, Erik ten Hag rates him. We're going to go all in. He's our DOF. He's our director of football, sir. He's the man in charge. That would give me some promise, but like you said, you can't overpay for this player because, Gnarby from Bayern, he's available. He's available, I think, on a free or last year of his contract. There are players out there. Dybala, I'm getting my head around Dybala, sir. We'll talk about it in a minute. But free transfer is a lot more tolerable. Let's talk about Dybala, sir. Get into it.
Dybala's on a free. Agent is talking to Manchester United. It's coming out of Italy, which means that essentially Dybala's thirsty, needs somebody to want to sign him, right? Because if the news is coming out of Italy, where Dybala and his agent are, that means his agent is beating the drum, trying to show, hey, Manchester United and Dybala are talking, trying to get something going. Dybala would be big wages. He's been linked to United before. He plays that 10 role, can play center forward as well. I don't know. The only way I could see Dybala coming in is Ronaldo leaves and we get Dybala, because it's just like a big wage swap there, and then you try to play him at center forward. That's not too excited about that one.
I can get behind. He's not a swap for Ronaldo. He's not going to replace him. I almost feel like we need him in addition. I think if you think you're going to be able to bank on Tony Martial as kind of your striker, I think that's a bit of a fool's errand. He's 28. He has had some injuries in the last couple of years. We've been hit or miss with Argentinians, just to be honest. Let's look at our track record over the last 20 years. But you can get him for free if he's actually like someone that Erik ten Hag says, hey, I've spoken to him. He understands my expectations out of him. You're going to get paid great money, but at the same time, you're going to work your fucking ass off, and that's going to be part of the deal. Then that would make me get behind it, because if Erik ten Hag is signed off with the player, I want it not to be like his agent making it such a deal that we can't refuse, or knowing that we just have a big hole to fill if CR7 does leave. But if he did leave, this would be just kind of like, this feels like an Ed Woodward move. Like, the ball, he'll still kits too. That'll work.
I mean, look, if Ronaldo's leaving and you're going to tell me our front line is going to be, Sancho, Dybala, Rashford with Eriksen and Bruno behind them, okay.
Okay, that sounds pretty good.
It's better than anything to get Martial out of that starting lineup. At the end of the day, that's all I'm thinking about. So who knows where we're going to end up? I think we're doing some good business. There's inevitably going to be scrambling at the end of the window.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to see how it goes. But, sir, let's get into it. We got Ronaldo Watch 2022. Ronaldo says he wants to go. Please say it ain't so, Ronaldo. Anyone saying we're better off without Ronaldo, I think is a numpty. Look, I understand the idea that it's a rebuild, and why the narrative that it's like, getting him out sooner is going to help him. Why? Because we're going to get Dybala? That's not going to help us at the end of the day. Watch his goals he scored last season. Everyone, for some reason, this narrative gets painted. You watch those goals. Who's scoring those goals? It ain't Rashford. It ain't Sancho. It ain't Martial. Some of the goals he scored were unbelievable, and a lot of them off of his head. He is the best header of the ball in the game, and how clutch he is. I've seen Cavani miss the chances that Ronaldo was bearing. I've seen Rashford miss the chances that Ronaldo was bearing. I mean, he's so clutch. Just to be able to score those goals, unbelievable. He should have had more, ultimately. You can't take that away. I mean, I watched them all, Europe, and he had 24, 8 tap-ins maybe, 7 tap-ins. I mean, most of those goals do not get scored if he's not on the pitch. No other player could hit those goals he was scoring.
No other player that's in this Manchester United squad.
Yes.
And you know what? That was in a terrible Manchester United team in terms of its performance last season. So imagine a high-flying United side. He could easily have scored over 30 between the two competitions. I really want him to stay. I really want to see a season with him and Erik ten Hag. It gives me a little hope, like you said. It's like there ain't a lot of buyers. There ain't a lot of vultures circling. Whereas, that's part of it. You need two to tango. And right now, the only likely buyer is Chelsea. And I have to think Manchester United has enough sense to not sell him to Chelsea or let him go to Chelsea, because that would be a grave error. To, kind of like last summer, almost letting him go to City, or maybe that forced our hand. But either way, he's irreplaceable, sir. Dybala, it's not a bad stopgap. It's not but that could go bad because, who has the kind of the dedication, focus, and track record that CR7 has? Very few players, almost none. He'd be a huge miss in the side. A huge miss in the side to the point where you needed Dybala and probably an Antony. You can't just fill him with one seat because that's not possible.
No, exactly. And the only reason I watched that is just to say, hey, could other Manchester United players be scoring these types of goals? And the answer to me was wow. I was blown away. I was like, no. A lot of these goals are just because Ronaldo is that good. And at the end of the day, will we score goals if he leaves? Yes, but it won't be making up for the 24. That's really the problem at the end of the day. So I think we need to keep him. It buys us another year to figure out the number 9, right? I think that's huge, right? There's too many number 9s have traded over the past year where that market is very light. It's going to be hard to replace him. You say, okay, Dybala replaces Ronaldo. I think that's an L. Even though Dybala is only 28, I just don't think he's going to be able to score the same amount of goals in the Premier League. So there just aren't the replacements available. That's what makes this very concerning to Manchester United. The update per Romano, this is from today, came out. Obviously, Romano is in with George Mendes. He's getting it straight from his agent. He's getting it from the player's side. So you got to take this with a grain of salt. Cristiano wants more. He says City on another level. Liverpool is strengthened, and Tottenham have done great business. This is why he wants to leave the club, because he believes Manchester United are being left behind. Their ambition is not high enough in the transfer market. He's aware of all the deals that are meant to be done. Eriksen, De Jong, Malacia, and Martinez. He says that's not enough. Ronaldo's view is that business that's on the table for Manchester United right now is not enough. Is that real? Is it just an excuse to leave? Is it Champions League? Who knows? This is what the player agent is saying. United side, we want to keep him. We don't want to sell. That's coming straight from Murtaugh, Arnold. They will not sell Cristiano Ronaldo. The reason being there are no good replacements. There are no good alternatives. Now, since he wants out, where is he going to go? Apparently, Mendes did not discuss it with Barcelona because Barcelona wants Lewandowski. Italian clubs are in no way contacting Ronaldo. Romano would know this. He is in Italy. He is Italian. He has great connections in Italy. So no Italian clubs. We heard Napoli. No, not there. Bayern Munich, they had conversations 2 weeks ago. Bayern said no. And the chairman of Bayern Munich, the director, came out and said, quote, as much as I appreciate Ronaldo, a move would not fit our philosophy. So Bayern out. That would be the biggest one. He goes to Bayern, Lewandowski comes to United, or Lewandowski goes to Barca, and then De Jong comes to United. Some fashion or deal like that could have happened. That is off. Bayern do not want him. Like you said, that leaves Chelsea. Chelsea are the only club. Todd Bowley spoke to Mendes. They talked about it. Apparently, Bowley's supposed to get back to Mendes on the Ronaldo deal. So there are no deals on the table. The only potential bid could come from Chelsea. Not even a real bid. They don't even want him. It's only a potential. And oh, by the way, United ain't selling him to Chelsea. Chelsea's going to have to give us Kai Havertz or something crazy to get Cristiano Ronaldo. Tuchel will never sanction that. So United would ask for an arm and a leg from Chelsea to sell him in the EPL because you never sell to your rivals. Just not a thing you do unless it's like you get an insane amount of money or players, etc. So at the end of the day, there ain't nowhere for CR7 to go. That's why we talked about last pod. Does he already have a deal? Or is this just them trying to get a deal? I believe they had no one's interested, and they went full-blown Hail Mary. Just don't go to training. We're going to shout it from the rooftops. We want to leave, and that's how we're going to shake the trees to find interest. Ronaldo and Mendes on the back foot. Nobody wants Ronaldo. Can you believe it? 2022, Manchester United finished 6th. We're playing Europa League. Ronaldo wants out, and no one wants to buy him.
I believe that the new owner of Chelsea, American guy, smart American, seems to know what he's doing. He's not an idiot. He knows that would be like a game-changing transfer if they were able to pull it off. And he just bought the club. It would change the profile of Chelsea Football Club forever. And I think he's a smart man. He's probably the only buyer, sir. And like you said, United would be absolutely nuts to let that sale go down unless they got an offer that was so ridiculous. I don't think Timo Werner is that deal. But that seems like the only buyer. And I think you said it at the very end of what you're just saying, which is like their approach is basically just go out and say, hey, we want to leave. Hey, who want to leave? Who wants to buy us? Which isn't it's an approach. Hopefully, like luckily, it's the first week of the transfer of like preseason in actuality where the proper first team players are back. But I'm hoping this is diffused pretty early. But like I said, like you should be signing Dybala anyway. You need a backup number 9 to Ronaldo, let alone replacing Ronaldo. So he's not wrong about the lack of ambition, because even when this window comes to fruition, it's probably not going to be enough considering the level of neglect over the last 2 decades. But the fact that there's no buyer helps us. The fact that like PSG kept Mbappe, maybe they're there. Maybe Real Madrid, you would have thought, but they just won the Champions League. They don't need him. So it's like, who's going to buy him? Chelsea, the only one that makes sense.
So the only way United hold all the cards, right? So it's kind of like when my kid wants to go to bed, my kid being Ronaldo, right? He's throwing a temper tantrum. He wants not to go to bed, but you're going to bed. He signed a 2-year deal. United own all the cards. They're not going to get rid of Ronaldo unless they have a as good or better replacement or compensation that can let them buy that as good or better replacement. So I'm not too worried about this one. It's just, to me, after watching this kind of play out, Ronaldo deserves a little bit of criticism. I know he's bigger than the club right now. I know that the club isn't going to meet his expectations at this stage of his career. But look, he signed the deal. He's an adult. United paid him. We paid him insane amounts of money. The fans were amazing to him. We welcomed him back to Old Trafford, sir. He kind of bounced early at the end of the season. Like a bunch of people checked out. He didn't play in that Crystal Palace match. I kind of felt like that was like a little strange. And then to see him, if he was going to leave, the move had to be right after the season's over. We don't make Champions League, and he works with the club to try to leave. New manager coming in, new philosophy. He works with the club, tries to leave. This seems just a little selfish. Well, he's leaving the club in a bad position. He's acting a fool. There's no offer out there. Like, hey, man, I expected when they came out with this that there was a deal, like a deal to be done. That wasn't Chelsea. Like Napoli wanted him, and we were going to sell him, and it's all good. Now that it looks like there was no smoke there, it just looks like he's having a temper tantrum and just like, hey, I'm Ronaldo, and I'm better than the club, and I don't deserve this, and I want to leave. And it's like, no, man, like you came back, you signed the contract, you and your agent did the deal, you got to honor it. And oh, by the way, be respectful of the club because Manchester United given you so much. That this whole just throwing a temper tantrum on July 1st, it's not good for United. He's going to war with United because he signed the contract. And so I don't like this animosity. I'd rather it dealt behind closed doors. I think if he did it right after the end of the season, Ten Hag would have totally approved him leaving. We could have identified a replacement. We could have bought Nunez. I just think the way he's gone about it hasn't been respectful to A, the club's rebuild, and then B, the club in general. And I know that we're not in a good spot. And I know that we probably don't deserve him another year, but there was a better way to deal with it. And the way he's behaving right now, not coming to training, not knowing if he's going to come on the preseason tour, how many sponsors are counting on that, it just seems a little disrespectful to push the move like this instead of dealing with it the right way.
That guy's a little disrespectful. Sir, this is the Cristiano Ronaldo that we signed up for. The good, bad, and ugly. The goals, that's the good. The bad, this is the bad and ugly. I'm going to couple those two together. Like you said, there was a way to do it, and the way to do it was like 7 weeks ago when the season ended, and not now, not when like just as the transfer window kind of opened in earnest and got really hot and heavy, and like you said, June came and went, and all these strikers they traded to do it now is just, I hate to say it, but it's a little bit of a CR7 move. He's a prima donna, greatest player of all time, sir, but he's a planet, and his ego is the size of a planet for good reason, because that's part of why he's great. But you also get this slime, which is like, if he doesn't get his way, he misbehaves. If he doesn't get his way, he doesn't show up for the last couple of games of the season, or he demands a transfer halfway through the transfer window. I think it's just part and parcel of the CR7 project, what you're signing up for. And unfortunately, we're getting some of the blowback to be expected. We should have called this. This is so predictable, sir. This is so predictable. And now we're seeing it in real time. This is going to be the story. This shit will go to the end, dude. I would imagine. There's not going to be, I don't see it happen. Like you said, I don't see the sale happening, and then I don't see him kind of quieting down until the transfer window closes.
Yeah, I guess the reason why, first I'm like, I go through all the phases, right? I'm a big Ronaldo fan. Obviously, as a fan, I was a fan of him when he played for United back in the day. He left and kind of went to Real Madrid and kind of became the troll, or like, whatever you want to call it. And then like, obviously he turned into a planet. And so the only thing Ronaldo cares about is Ronaldo, and Ronaldo. I mean, he's just like, sorry, you can't, the most social, etc., most money, probably be one of the richest athletes of all time, greatest of all time. He's the GOAT. So why would he care? Totally understandable. But to go to war with Manchester United in the way he's doing it, because when they made the announcement, I thought they already had the deal. And now that they don't, it's just basically him putting United in a bad spot trying to get them to sell him. And that's not what you should do to the club that gave you so much. I know that there's a wage issue. He's going to get reduced pay, Europa League, etc. But to just be out whinging in the wind, like you're on the American Red Devils podcast, like you and me do every week in, week out, that's not what Ronaldo should be doing. Should be done behind closed doors, done with respect to the club. And right now, I just feel like, what are you doing, dude? Because I think the most likely scenario is he's back. And so you're going to have to like patch all this up, come into the dressing room, act like you weren't that guy. And I mean, I know he'll play well. For him, it's all about the football, but doesn't look good. It's not a good look. We will keep you posted on the Ronaldo saga, but it feels like it's just beginning.
Oh, yeah. It's going to go all summer. I don't think he shows up in Southeast Asia at all, bro. He'll be there for the first game of the season.
Dude, there's a lot of people counting on him going on that tour. A lot of tickets that have been sold, a lot of fans, a lot of sponsors that are begging him going. And, he's out for a family issue, and, he's MIA. Who knows what's going on with Ronaldo, but it seems like a very selfish move and an unnecessarily selfish move. Now, who knows what happened behind closed doors? Maybe you told United he wanted to leave behind closed doors, right? I don't know what happened. I'm just commenting on kind of reading the tea leaves from the couch here. Big one here. We talked that we're going to be monitoring the sellings, who Manchester United are selling. Andres Pereira, Frosted Tips FC. He's going to Fulham. I think this is a good one. Medical is done. 10 million plus 3 million add-ons. Great business. Great business for Manchester United. A player we wanted to sell, went out on loan, played well. Someone else is going to buy him. That is how you do it. So we need to be getting these players who are on loan sold. Put Bailly on loan, get them sold. Loan out Philly Jones. We don't need them. Like, we need to be getting players out the door, getting buys out the door, getting buys in the door. I think this is a win for United selling a great great transfer. We love to see it.
You do. You're spot on, but I need Mo Betta. There's just a lot of bodies to move. This is a very good sale. Like you said, good price. You could have kept loaning him in perpetuity until his contract ended, and to get him off the wage books to free up a spot for a youngster or a player on the periphery that's ready to break in. This is a good move. We need more of that. Like you said, all those players you just mentioned and then some have to be shipped, and the more you do, right, this just paid for Tyrell. So good business.
Exactly.
Well done. Maybe the cruise ship is starting to turn, but I need to see more of this. July is a huge month for this club.
All right, now we're going to have a little bit of fun getting into some hysterical social media watch here on the American Red Devils. The Sports Bible posted an article on Instagram that said Cristiano Ronaldo is reportedly upset with the wage cut at Manchester United because apparently not making Champions League means all the players are automatically paid less. And guess who liked the post?
Slabhead.
Harry Maguire is like literally sitting on his couch on Instagram, and he sees a post that Ronaldo is like mad, and he's just like, love to see it.
I'm also mad.
Love to see it.
I hate the wage cuts. That's what he's thinking. He's like, how could you? Taking money out of my pocketbook. Like he deserved Champions League football. But that's some kind of moves.
I think that's a great point. Is it Ronaldo trolling, or is it he hates the wage cut?
He also hates the wage cut. He's like, hey, fuck that noise.
You don't think that it's him trolling Ronaldo?
I thought, like, my first instinct, I did hear the story earlier, but now just hearing you say it, it's like, yeah, he's also like, God damn, I'm taking imagine your quarter of your pay is just like affected tomorrow. You know, I'd be pissed about that. I wouldn't be liking anything. Maybe he was ham boned in Greece, the tail end of his vacation. But I'll tell you one thing, Harry's not going to have to worry. He's not going to have to worry about being captain next year. I can guarantee you that. He will not.
He's still the captain.
He will not be the captain next year. No way.
Look, take this for what it's worth. Like, either way, Harry Maguire, like, liking this post, it's just like it's like Harry Maguire is, you know, like the guy plays well for England, had a rough year. We've seen him play well for United. You know, I don't think he's worth 20 million. I don't think he should be on United. I think we should be just. You got to learn how to know when to hold him, know when to fold him, sir. Harry Maguire, you fold him. Yeah, you got to get rid of Harry. Like, you absolutely got to get rid of Harry Maguire. Like, it's just not going to happen, not going to work. You know, United just hold onto these players way. Like, Tony Martial is a great example. It's like.
Should have been sold years ago.
Scored 20, came back, didn't have a good year. Like, got to go.
Right.
You know, because you were looking for 20 a year.
I give him a year. I'm giving him a year under Eric. Real manager.
You're giving him.
I'll give it a year. So you paid 80 million pounds. You paid more for him than Van Dijk. It's a sunk cost. I agree. You could sell him for nothing next year. So he'll also be worth nothing next year. It's like you got to give it one go under a real manager. If you think about it, he's never even had a real manager at this club. Because Ole doesn't really.
See the way he played last year, dude.
Sure, I know.
Like,
I know. He was probably the worst performing player of the entire squad.
Remember the first 3 minutes of Liverpool? He gets caught in like no man's land.
Do I remember?
Get like 1-2'd and like dusted.
I remember.
Just like,
I was there,
even
sir.
when we were like, just like you're out there, like, hey man, you're not playing well, but just keep everything in front of you. He like steps up into no man's land and like, see ya. Trent Alexander-Arnold just like blows.
I'm giving him a
like,
wash. I'm giving him a pat. He's like, sir, I would love to see him sold. He's not going to be sold. The only thing I could be hopeful about is like, hey, maybe Eric can carve that big block of cement into something useful.
Dude, but the problem, if you think about it, it was really that left-hand side, like him and Tellis and him and Shaw, like that combination defensively, like he wasn't at fault for all of it, but that just left back Harry Maguire, like covering the back post, which is brute. That's basics. It's absolute basics. So can't be captain. Absolutely cannot be captain. Like, but I think there's a good chance he will be, because I just don't think Ten Hag wants to, like, how much does the captaincy really matter? Obviously, to me and the fans, I think it matters a lot. But like, maybe Ten Hag might be thinking, I don't want to ruffle his feathers. You know, I'm trying to get the best out of him. There could be that whole angle. But the one thing for me about Harry Maguire that I have an issue with is this stuff. The Instagram, the photos on social media after Ole was fired. Like, just knowing how to act and behave. I know it's 2022 and every little thing you do gets misinterpreted, but like going to Greece, getting in a fight, not a good look. Taking a photo with a fan out to dinner, partying with a drink in hand after Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was fired. Like, not a good look. Like, the interview he gave when he was having a horrible season, and he said, why would the coach be starting me if I was playing poorly?
Like, he needs to come down to earth. He needs to come down. I totally agree, sir.
So that's not captain material. Captain material is someone who holds himself to a higher standard on and off the pitch and is critically self-aware and takes a lot of blame, says, hey, it's my fault. We all got to do better. I'm going to call myself out first. Harry Maguire seems to be the opposite. He's a young guy. I'm just saying the captain of Manchester United needs a certain attitude. And this type of Instagram-liking, grease-fighting, it ain't a good look. So I just don't think Harry's the man to do the job. And this is unfortunately something stupid, but kind of points in that direction.
Hey, I certainly don't think he should be the captain. That is the first and foremost. But I think it's worth giving him another year to see if he can at least come good a little. But we will see, sir. There's a lot of dead wood to move, and I think going after the big old slab head is not going to be the first play. I do think he's going to pull the I think they're going to pull the captaincy. Sorry, 20. It's like you paid 80 for him.
I'll tell you, you're getting 0 next season.
I know.
I'll tell you. So the problem, the whole thing is you got to know when you got to take the loss, because if you sell him now, you can get something, and if he has another bad year, you get nothing and you're paying him.
You have two other center backs that you need to sell that you can't sell. It's like,
yeah, but that's the problem.
You'd rather have Harry than, unfortunately, Phil Jones or Eric Bailly. So it's like you got to focus on selling those two players, and then you can be like, all right, we made some money, we signed another center back. Now we can maybe get rid of Harry. I just don't think he's the least dependable. And there's something there. He's not the worst player in the world. He's not a $5 million player.
Dude, he plays well when he has in a back three and he has two world-class CDMs in front of him for England. That's where he's good. When he has the least amount of responsibility, but when he's on his own and he's like in space, he's done.
He's gonna have a proper manager. Well, I'm not thinking he's ever gonna be an 80 million pound player. I know we overpaid, but the point of the fact is, like, you have a lot of other players to sell first, and he's not gonna be the priority to get rid of.
You know what? He's got the attributes. He doesn't have the mentality. That's what I'm trying to say. Is it's the mental game. I think he lacks a little bit of, as far as just like that type of attitude to be able to push himself to the best versus like, hey, I'm good, I cashed out, like, don't worry about it. All right, sir, let's jump into fan questions here. I ran a poll this week. Does Ronaldo start for Manchester United against Brighton on August 7th? 53.7% of fans said see, and 46.3% said nope. So still the majority, like you and me, thinks Ronaldo will be here. We shall see. And getting into the fan questions, at Man United DYL, quote, am I stupid for thinking Ronaldo is 100% staying? What do you make, sir?
You're saying there's a chance. There's always a chance. I hope this is not just a mud fight for the sake of it, just to cause a stink. It might be, but I think it's definitely a better than 50% chance he stays. I'd like to see him stay, but I think he's going to make us squeal all summer, and it's going to be a bad look, but it's kind of the CR7 show, and you get what you pay for.
Does he go on preseason or no?
No, I don't think he shows up for preseason. Shows up in England when they're back.
Interesting. At TNEC505, quote, love Cristiano Ronaldo, and unlike some, I think he is in his right to want his money. But with him leaving in a year, does it matter if he leaves? We weren't winning anything in that time anyway.
I think it's a good point, but he fills such a role because he scores so many goals. Discipline, right, as an example for the rest of the players. The commercial side, of course, I'm sure United does not want to lose. And we do need goals, and it's like you said. And also, if you wanted to get rid of him, it'd be a shit deal because there's no buyers. So it's like United doesn't. Why take a shit deal, given that they need a striker? So I do think, like you said, buying us next year to figure out who the long-term number 9 is what we need. We need time.
You said it there, sir. It's just like everything's going against this deal. There's no one who wants to buy him. No one's going to pay enough for him. We said at the end of last season that was going to be the case. That's the only, like, he should be leaving, and that's literally the only reason why he might stay. And that I noted all says CR7 might be stuck, which, we both agree. And at Max the Goat 1717, quote, I think De Jong will come. Turns out fee and add-ons is done. What is holding the deal up is Barca owe him $17 million in wages.
That's a lot.
So Barca, is that must be like a Barca De Jong issue, right? Because Barca's basically saying you can go, but we're not going to pay you what we owe you, right? That's got to be that's why there's so much hair on this deal. That's like it could be done right now. And then Barca's basically saying, hey, take 10 instead of 17. And De Jong,
Totally.
it's up to De Jong,
Totally, because that's why you get the public statements from their president in the press. I think they're in a bit of a mess, and they're trying to spin it to make themselves look good, but doesn't look like they're playing it very well.
Yeah, the more the Spaniards are talking in the press that he's not for sale, means the closer the deal
Exactly.
is.
That's always a good sign.
I think that is actually the right. I think that is the right view when it comes to this because, they're the type of people that will talk to De Jong and be like, hey, this is what we need. This is what we need. And De Jong's like, no, I want the whole thing. And then they'll go to the press and be like, he's staying.
He won't take a wage cut. He's such a selfish guy. He won't take another wage cut.
So look, I think we're going to be good. I think, look, 2 great deals, Malacia, Eriksson, De Jong. I think he's all but joining. I just think there's a lot of hair with him and Barca. That will be sorted out. I think those are 3 great deals. Love to sell AWB. Love to get another right back in. I like the Martinez as well. And then obviously you got it. It's such a big hill to climb to get a replacement attacker. We're not going to think about it. If you're like, okay, sell Ronaldo, get Anthony. Anthony's $70 million. No one's paying you $50 for Ronaldo. He has a 1 year on his deal. So no one's going to pay us enough where we can go out and get a replacement. No one's going to swap a replacement. I just don't think it happens. I think if you have Ronaldo, you get those 4 players, we are,
If we keep CR7, we're in a good position, especially with those other players you talked about. Get Lissandro Martinez in, get De Jong in, maybe one more for fun, maybe like a backup number 9. But you're getting somewhere, sir. But CR7, that's a huge loss, and like you said, that's like you need a Holland coming in to kind of fill that vacuum.
Don't remind me, Holland's in the Premier League. All right, that's it. That's been the podcast. You like the American Red Devils. We are for fans, by fans. Please support the podcast. Fill out our end of the season survey. It's pinned on Twitter. Support us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/AmericanRedDevils. Check out our website, www.AmericanRedDevils.com. Click on store, grab some merch. Great fan-generated content as well. Write a review or subscribe and like. Wherever you listen to the podcast goes a long way to support this small-time operation. I'm actually heading on vacation this week. We'll probably get you a podcast next week, depending on what's going crazy with this team. Maybe Wednesday or Thursday of next week, we'll be getting back on the horn. Alex, do you have the top 10 downloads last 7 days?
I do, sir. Here we go. Number 1, how you doing? Reykjavik, Iceland. Carlton, Texas. Freeport, Texas. LaGrange, Texas. Appreciate you. Jacksonville, Florida. Vernon Hills, Illinois. Columbus, Indiana. Vicosa, Brazil. Appreciate you. Nashville, Tennessee. Grand Rapids, Michigan. Appreciate all the American Red Devils listening week in, week out. Summer transfer Muppetry, baby. Bringing it to you hot and heavy. And guess what? It's never a dull moment at Manchester United. Can you believe it? De Jong and Ronaldo. That shit ain't wrapping up this week.
All right. You ready to go? You got a song for us, Alex?
I do. For who else? Sir, I was just thinking about it today. I was like, I could go for some Waza. Here's the Wayne Rooney chant. Enjoy your week, everybody. Let's get some signings in, and we'll talk soon.